In this video, I just want to talk a little bit about the signal flow in June 3 and really just outline exactly how the architecture of this synth works and how it's a little bit different to most other synthesizers I've come across anyway. So we're clear from the beginning the way in which we can interact with this plugin to really play to its strengths. Now, in terms of the way in which the signal flows for each patch in June 3, it is as you'd expect. So the sound is created by the building blocks, the oscillators. The output of the oscillators is then fed through the filters so we can further sculpt the sound and adjust the frequency content. And then we go through the amplitude section to determine the volume. Now, the filter section has its own filter envelope, so we can sculpt that over time. Likewise, the amplitude section. But where this plugin really sets itself apart is this 8-voice unison section here, because for each one of these 8 voices, we can have basically like a whole new patch, a whole new plugin instance, essentially. Let me show you what I mean. So here we actually have to set the number of voices we're going to be working with. So let's set it to 2 so we can work with 2 voices. Now, at the moment, if we have it on all here, then we're going to be adjusting parameters that affect all the voices, essentially, all the 2 voices that we've selected here. But if we click on 1, 2 here, we can actually select different parameters for each one of our 2 voices, and this is why it's a differential unison engine. So going to oscillator 1, let's go in and just change the wavetable selection here. Let's move the position dial. Let's just give it some voices here. Now if we go into voice 2 here, we can completely change this up, have a different setting here. We could bring up the attacks. We have a different attack setting. We could have different filter choices here as well if we wanted to. Bring up some resonance. Let's just bring up the second oscillator for this one. So now we have completely different settings for these 2 voices. We can solo them here. So you can clearly hear that these are 2 different patches essentially that are layered up. So this is why it's a differential unison engine, because for each one of our 8 unison voices, we can actually have completely different settings for our patches. Now we're going to look at this in more detail later, but I just wanted you to understand the way in which the architecture of this plugin works. So from the start, we're kind of aware of the potential for the sound design within June 3. Okay, so that's just a quick video on the signal flow and the way that the differential unison engine works and what that is, basically what that means. So let's just do a little recap. So the signal flow for each one of our unison voices here is, as you'd expect, oscillators going through filters, through an amplitude section with an envelope for filter and amplitude here. But as I said, what sets it apart is the fact we can have up to 8 unison voices here, and those are able to house completely different sets of parameters for each one, which makes the potential for complex sound design huge, really, because we can stack up these 8 different voices. Okay, so now we've covered that kind of patch structure signal flow in June 3. In the next video, we're going to dive in and look at the building blocks of our sounds, our oscillators. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.